Good evening and welcome to the May 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Tupelo Planning Committee. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones. At this time, please rise for the invocation given by Gus Hildenbrand and the Pledge of Allegiance by Lindsay Leak.
Let us bow. Precious Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day that you've given us. A new day, and thank you for the fact that you've blessed us with no loss of life last night. And these blessings we certainly thank you for. We ask that you would be with us as we conduct the business of this meeting, and may it be pleasing to you. For we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Can you please join me with the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The Tupelo Planning Committee is a volunteer group appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. We receive no compensation for this, as we do it as a community service. We spend a lot of time on our own funds researching and studying the applications and visiting the sites that are on our agenda each month. We ask that you remember that we do not take our positions on any application lightly. Our decisions are based on facts as they are presented and with regard to the regulations set forth in the city code. At this time, I'd like to ask the staff and committee members to introduce themselves.
Pat Faulkner, city planner.
Lindsay Leak.
Pam Hadley. Patty Thompson.
Scott Davis.
Jimmy Swan.
Gus Hildenbrand.
Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting?
Yeah, there's just one. Rankin is misspelled at the bottom of the second page.
Okay.
I missed that.
But I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes with that correction.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. And the motion passes. Mr. Faulkner, do you have anything to report on the council actions?
The council has approved those actions
Okay.
from April.
It's now time for the new business portion of the meeting tonight. First item on the agenda, Flex Variance 21-01. The Department of Development Services received a variance application for Mr. Bernard Bean to construct a carport that is 1 foot 8 inches from the property line instead of the required 5 feet at his residence at 628 Highland Circle. The property is located in the medium-density residential zoning district. Is there someone to speak for this? Okay.
I'm Linda Smith with Architecture South, and I'm their architect on the project, and they are out of town.
Okay. If you would take the mic, speak into it. Just say your name again.
Okay. Linda Smith, Architecture South.
Okay, and tell us about the application.
The project is a carport that it's actually nicer than a carport, which I brought some drawings, but it is an open carport with a little small living space above it, and it actually hits the property line. I don't know if this is going to be large enough for anybody to see, at an angle, because they're on a triangle. We can see it there on a triangular shape of property, and the 1 foot 8 is where the point of the addition is from the property line, where the setback is actually 5. And they have requested to do so because of their existing housing conditions to be, in order to fit 2 full-size cars into it. They provided letters from their 2 neighbors on each side who were in favor of the project, and I actually have an additional letter from Kelly Holcomb that lives across the street, also in favor of the project, and felt that it was an improvement over the current conditions that they have for the neighborhood.
Okay. Does anyone on the committee have any questions?
This point that it approaches the property line, is that the eave the eave doesn't stick out past it? Or is this
No, that's the furthest point.
That's the furthest point.
Yes, sir. And actually, their nearest neighbor, which I have a letter from, their house is actually well back.
Yeah, it's a long ways from
That's
there.
correct.
Yeah.
So the carport will accommodate 2 vehicles?
Yes, sir.
Garage?
Yes, sir.
Gonna be a drive-through carport or?
No, their current carport is actually well up on the hill behind their house. The drive actually goes in that same location now, and we're bringing it more to the front of the house to make room, because they really have no backyard. Their backyard is a drive and an actual carport now, and we're taking that down, and they're gonna have a nicer backyard with a swimming pool.
That's gonna be the swimming pool back there at the back, I guess.
Yes, yes. Which is actually where the carport currently is located. And I have some, if you need, I do have some exterior images, if you want to see what it looks like. Yes?
Oh, we thought she was going to show. Okay, you have them, okay.
Yeah, I just brought like our full set of
Okay.
drawings. It wasn't required for the application, but if you wanted to see them, I can bring it, turn to the front.
You wanna pass them through?
If you just start down there and then just
Yeah,
pass them around, we'll take a look at
That'd
it.
be great.
She is probably this. Down. That's a like a three-dimensional view, and that's the carport on it.
Do we have any more questions?
Will the planning office have access to the third person's letter?
Yes, yes, what is the best way for me? I mean, I've got it right here if I need to just give it, or do I need to email it?
Either way is fine. I'll
This is
take
the
it.
one from Kelly Hall, it's an additional letter.
Well, if there are no more questions, you can be seated. We're going to open the public portion of the meeting. Is there anyone here to speak for or against this application? If so, we'll close the public portion. Pat, does the department have a perspective on this?
We feel like it meets the criteria for a variance to be approved.
Any more discussion from the committee?
I move we grant the variance.
Okay, motion by Mr. Hillenbrand,
I'll second it. Oh, Lindsay.
second by Lindsay Lee. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, and it passes unanimously. Mr. Faulkner, could you tell her what the next step will be?
Yes, we have to allow for a 3-day period in which there's a possibility of an appeal, but after that 3-day period, the decision would be final, and they'd be able to proceed with a building permit at that point.
Correct, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Flex 21-02. The Department of Development Services has received a request for a flexibility use review from Mr. Robert Bass on behalf of his client, Capital Bedding, to reestablish the non-conforming use of manufacturing at 2302 South Thomas. Capital Bedding proposes to move their healthcare division to the building. The property is located in the Mixed-Use Activity Center zoning district. The Tupelo Development Code requires a flexible use review to reestablish a non-conforming use. Is there someone to speak for this? State your name and address and tell us about your application.
My name is Robert Bass. I'm an attorney with Phelps Dunbar here in Tupelo. I represent Mr. West and his company, Capital Bedding. Mr. West recently purchased this property. It's an old factory building that I believe was constructed in the 80s as a furniture manufacturing facility. It was used as that for several years until I believe around 2005-ish, at which point in 2007 I know it was purchased by, it was President Street Enterprises, which was Mr. James Williams and Mike Williams, and they had their portion of their transport business there. They warehouse different things. I think they used a lot of the bank property. They would warehouse Bancorp's House bank property there. I believe they also housed for a time a landscaping company in that particular property, and then maybe even, as I understand, some sort of convenience store supply company as well. So there were sort of different, essentially warehouse uses for this property. And what Mr. West proposes to do is to essentially bring his, as you mentioned, the healthcare division of his mattress company there which in essence is a light assembly. I've actually went to Mr. West's plant, just kind of watched the process of what they're actually going to be doing. So you see two people who put essentially a cover over a mattress, then you have a gentleman sew the end of that mattress cover up, and then it's bagged for shipping. And then the mattresses will then be stored on the property in the warehouse until they're shipped to the customer. And that's what we're proposing to do, just kind of based on, primarily on what the neighboring properties do. I believe there's a chemical company to the north, and then there's another landscaping company. We believe that what we're asking is really not materially different than what the neighboring properties are doing. We believe that the proposed use would bring value to the property. Again, it is as you can see on the from the photograph, it's a metal warehouse building, and that we believe that its primary use could be utilized for what Mr. West intends to do.
Are there any questions?
About 10 to 15 employees, I believe is in the document.
That is correct. And
What would be roughly the working hour, like 7 a.m., 4 p.m., something?
I'll let Mr. West or Mr. Mike answer that question. I assume 7 to 4, is that?
Yeah, most of the time, during surges of business, the latest would probably be 6 p.m. But most of the time, it's 7 to like 2 o'clock.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I know another thing with this is, traffic in and out. I don't anticipate more than 2 to 3 trailer loads a day. This is not some kind of, deal where we're going to have incoming traffic all day long in and out of this facility. It's really more of a, bring the mattresses in. I think they can fit up to 300 on one trailer load, so they're moving a lot at one time, so it's not going to be a ton of in and out traffic here.
And they do not plan to pave the parking lot or do anything, just use the facility, is that what you're saying?
I'm going to have to defer if that's okay to...
Yeah.
Correct.
Any more questions? Okay, you can sit down.
Thank you all.
We're going to open the public portion. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Then we'll close the public portion. Pat, what is the development department's perspective on this?
Well, the only reason this comes to you is because the zoning is not exactly right for the property. Frankly, we will probably at some point be adjusting the zoning because back in 2012 when we created this category and applied it on the map, the idea was that these areas with 2 major transportation routes crossing would be locations for high-end commercial or high-intensity development. That hadn't happened in this area, and it may someday, but right now it's not. And so we don't feel like that this proposed use would really interfere with the natural development of the area. It's relatively compatible with what's there now, and they're not proposing any changes that would make it less likely to develop in a different direction if it needed to later. So we're in favor of it.
Did you receive any comments from the property owners nearby?
We did not, no.
Any discussion amongst the committee? Are we ready for a motion?
I'll make the motion, we accept it.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Thompson, second by Mr. Swan. All in favor, raise your right hand. And that's unanimous. Mr. Faulkner, can you tell them what's going to happen next?
Right, yeah, with that approval, again, that we do have to wait for those 3 days in case somebody decides to come in and make an appeal, but once that's done, this action would be final, and you can go ahead and apply for a certificate of occupancy.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. The City Council will review our decisions, and Mr. Faulkner will report back their findings at our next meeting. Do we have any applications for our next meeting?
We have 2.
Okay. So that would make, the work session would be on the
Is it Memorial
the
Day?
31st. Is that Memorial Day, the 31st?
Yes,
It is.
It is.
yes.
Okay, so, these applications, do they need a full work session?
They're pretty low level. They're kind of like the ones today. They may take more time to explain than they do to decide.
Well, I guess our options would be, in the past, we've done either a Thursday meeting, or we could do a Monday meeting, come at 5, and then have this meeting at 6. If you think, to me, that would only disrupt one day.
Yeah.
Is everybody in favor of that, since this will be pretty
That's fine.
Yes.
It
low level?
doesn't make any difference to me.
Well, let's look ahead to June the 7th, then, is that correct? That the first the first Monday, I'm sorry. So we'll come in at 5:15? 5.
Yeah.
5 in here or up there?
Why don't we meet upstairs? That way they can get the meeting room set up down here without us interfering with them.
Okay, so that'll be 5 o'clock on June the 7th on the 3rd floor conference room, and then we'll follow with the meeting here at 6.
Yep.
Is there anything else?
We'll have the work session and the...
Yes, the work session at 5, and then the meeting at 6
Okay.
on June the 7th.
Same day.
So we'll be upstairs for the work session, then come down here for the meeting. Since it's not too complicated, it's just easier to knock them out since we have the holiday.
And we're not interrupting anything with our work session.
So I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right,
A second.
that's it.